I was at the hospital, taking care of my sick son, while Jack was celebrating the birthday of a girl who had bullied him back in the day. The next evening, he rushed back. Later, I lost hope and asked for a divorce. Jack angrily tore up the divorce papers. I don't agree. I quietly looked at him. If I forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, then the pain I went through was for nothing. After leaving, Jack had dinner with his new lover, who couldn't eat food without spice, and his stomach trouble acted up. He called me in the middle of the night, groaning, "Honey, where's the medicine?" Our son answered, his voice pure and sincere. "Daddy, Mommy and new daddy are busy in the bathroom. You can't bother them, okay?" A typhoon hit that night, and Simon came down with a high fever. I didn't care about the storm outside and drove the shaky car to the hospital, running in with Simon in my arms. The umbrella flew away, and I accidentally slipped. A couple kindly helped me up. Seeing me all wet and with a scraped arm, the woman couldn't help but ask, "Why are you alone with the child? Where's the dad?" The man pulled her back and whispered something. Judging by his lips, it looked like he said single mom. I smiled bitterly. I was used to it. Ever since Jack started his business, he was busy consolidating it. He said that if I took care of our son at home, he would be responsible for making money to support us. To be fair, Jack did. From being a proud, top student from a poor family, he became a respected figure in the business world. No longer needing to see others' faces, no longer having to feel guilty about sharing a single cup of instant noodles with me in the cold winter. My son fell asleep after the injection. I turned on my phone screen. Jack still couldn't be reached. Where could he be out of touch? I thought of the Twitter post I saw during the day. A self-mocking smile appeared on my lips. The post was by Sunny. The location was some island paradise. It read, "You conquer the stars and the ocean, I conquer you." Sunny was our high school classmate with Jack. She had some family money and loved bullying classmates. Back then, she had her eyes on Jack, who was aloof and brilliant. She wore cropped school uniforms every day, flaunting herself in front of him. But Jack's alcoholic father had passed away early, and his mother was sick, so he had no mind for romantic affairs. Sunny didn't like that Jack was so proud. She had people smash his windows and threw his homework into the toilet. The worst was when she cornered Jack in an alley and ordered him to crawl under a thug's legs. Otherwise, she wouldn't return the class fees she had snatched from his bag. That must have been Jack's most humiliating moment. I couldn't watch. Somehow, I had the courage to throw a stone at the thug, giving Jack a chance to escape. Sunny bore a grudge and called people to rough me up. Luckily, my uncle worked at the police station, and they were locked up and taught a lesson, and the situation subsided. Years later, Sunny's family fell on hard times. She didn't get into college, and ended up working as a sales rep at a small company. She ran into Jack again at a dinner. By then, Sunny had dyed her blonde hair back, and had tucked away her rebelliousness, showing a smiling face to pour drinks. At first, Jack ignored her, but Sunny, thick-skinned, kept coming back. Trying to get a few $1,000s in orders, she'd even kneel and beg. Jack told me how pathetic she looked now, until one day, he no longer had her kicked out of the company. I asked, "Why are you giving orders to the girl who bullied you so badly?" Jack disdainfully replied, "Consider it a handout to a stray dog." I thought Jack wanted revenge, to make her feel the humiliation he once did, but in reality, they started seeing each other frequently. Sunny always used business discussions as an excuse to invite Jack to horseback riding, rock climbing, and surfing, activities he had never cared for before. Even when traveling with me or attending father-son events, he saw it as a waste of time. Jack said, time should be spent on what's important, making money while young. Many times, I was alone taking our son to school activities, violin classes, and amusement parks. At our son's preschool graduation, he dropped us at school but left after taking a call. Later, I found out it was because Sunny had messed up, and he rushed to fix it. Jack made exceptions for the person who once bullied him, again and again. Maybe he didn't even realize it. Sunny used business as a pretext to lead him out of his safety zone, engaging in dangerous extreme sports for the thrill. I advised Jack not to go. He pushed me away, just for work. But who goes out to sea during a typhoon for a business deal, simply because it was Sunny's birthday, and she wanted the thrill of surfing in the storm? Jack didn't come until the following evening. Looking at our son sleeping in the hospital bed, guilt flashed across his brow. "Sorry, my phone dropped in water, didn't get your messages." "Really?" I smiled silently. With such a big storm, even if he knew our son was ill, would he risk his life to come back? Sensing my displeasure, Jack leaned in for a kiss on my temple. The wild scent of perfume made me dodge reflexively. Jack gripped my hand. "What's wrong?" I shook my head. pulling my hand from his warm grasp. Jack's face darkened. There won't be a next time. At that moment, my emotions overflowed. I couldn't help but explode. Stop making promises you can't keep. Just like when our son was born, he promised to be there for the birth, but he had to travel for business instead, to land a client. Just like my birthdays each year, when they clashed with important meetings, he always chose the latter. His reason: he didn't celebrate birthdays himself. There's no need to miss any opportunity for the company's growth, just for the sake of formality. I understand his desire for success, having been dirt poor in the past, but I can't tolerate how he's been spoiling Sonny ever since he got rich. Especially, doing it for our son. Simon's finally awake. Jack reached out to touch his head, but the kid shied away instinctively. No surprise there. Jack's on business trips a lot, barely around. They aren't that close. Jack didn't give up. He patiently told Simon about seeing a big fish while surfing. He even promised that once Simon felt better, they'd go out to sea on the newly ordered yacht. Simon was thrilled. Boys love spending time with their dads, but Jack has always hated extravagant spending. When we got married, he didn't want a wedding to save money. He even said engagement rings are a scam, and gold was a better investment. This yacht thing totally wasn't like him. Watching them pinky swear, I hid my inexplicable frustration. He came over and hugged my waist. Honey, didn't you always say you wanted to go sea fishing? With the yacht, we can go often. Jack played the good dad for a few days. He'd come home on time and play with Simon, but I saw his heart wasn't in it. His phone kept buzzing, and he finally took a long call on the balcony. When he came back to the living room, Simon was excitedly pulling out decorations from his birthday. Daddy, tomorrow's Mommy's birthday. Let's decorate the house together. Jack stiffened. Forgot to tell you, I'm on a business trip tomorrow. It's fine. I brushed it off. Not the first time. He seemed a bit flustered. When I get back, the yacht will be here. I'll get company folks to throw you a party. The next morning, Jack was already gone. Simon saw I was down and was a good boy all day. He picked flowers from the balcony, wrapped them up nicely, and drew a picture of the three of us on the yacht. We blew out candles and ate cake together. Simon kissed my cheek. I wish Daddy could be like a plant. Why? That way, we could grow a bunch of daddies. One could work, one could play basketball with me, and one could celebrate your birthday. I chuckled and cried at the same time. I put Simon to bed. It was late. The phone rang. Sonny's slightly tipsy voice came on. Lily, I heard it's your birthday. Your husband's not with you, is he? He's asleep in my room. By the way, it was my idea to get the yacht, and Jack agreed to name it after me. She whistled, just as obnoxiously as ever. I struggled to stay calm. Put Jack on the phone. Sonny's voice was taunting and gloating. He passed out after the exercise. Why call? Oh, nothing. He just mentioned you in bed. Said you were boring, like a block of wood. I lost patience. Heard you slept around for deals, planning to use your well-used body to snatch my husband. She seemed provoked. Lily, who do you think you are? If my family hadn't fallen, you couldn't have bagged Jack, the rising star. You didn't know. The night after our college exams, right after he confessed to you, he had his first kiss with me. Now it's time to take back what's mine. Anything that can be stolen is garbage. Spare me your drama. I hung up. Sonny, pissed off, sent a bunch of photos as proof. Jack in high spirits, arm around her in a fast car. Jack in swim trunks, playing in the sea with her. Jack asleep on her chest. I stared at the screen, fingers tracing Jack's carefree face. He didn't like photos, especially after the company took off. He was too busy to even take a picture with me. But now, this usually reserved man had totally let his guard down before Sonny. I remembered when Jack said, during our startup days, Lily, once I'm rich, I'll take you around the world to make up for the hard times. The man who promised never to betray me broke that vow so quickly. How could he? He transferred all his promises to another woman. Something stuck in my throat, my heart aching. Jack came home after midnight. Seeing me still awake, he instinctively glanced at the coffee table. Instead of the usual bowl of soup, or a cup of honey water for his hangover, it held scattered photos Sonny had sent, including high-res bed pictures. I looked at him coldly. How was the affair? Jack's face changed, showing the anger of being exposed. Have you been spying on me? I told you, I hate hysterical women catching affairs. I laughed. What spell did Sonny cast on you? You did wrong and still blame me. He rubbed his temples, pretending to relax, and sat on the couch to change his shoes. Believe it or not, we only did it once. Work stress is huge. I held back for you. A drunken mistake isn't a crime, right? Look at Mike, John, which one doesn't have a mistress? His stubborn attitude infuriated me. So, sleeping with another woman on your wife's birthday is okay. A long silence. Jack stepped back. Fine, my bad this time. It won't happen again. You wanted to travel the world, right? When the yacht arrives, I'll take you and Simon out sailing. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, forcing out the words, Jack, let's divorce. He jumped up, stunned. Are you crazy? Do you know how many women throw themselves at me daily? Be realistic. Like Sunny said, everything, the house, car, it's all mine. Would you leave empty-handed? Turns out, he dared to break marriage vows because of someone's advice. I slapped him hard. Jack, you bastard. If not for taking care of your mom and our son, would I have stayed home? Jack's eyes flickered. I knew it was a sign of his guilt and avoidance. I grabbed a pillow and went to my son's room. Simon looked just like his dad when he slept. When Jack was young, he was slim and tall, with a touch of arrogance in his cold demeanor. As his desk mate, I drew a lot of jealousy from the other girls. They would ask Jack, the top student, for help after class. He would coldly refuse, saving his patience just for me. Girls love being favorites, and I was no exception. Because of that special bond, I applied to a college in the same city as Jack. Jack's mom had a limp and poor health. He had to rely on scholarships and part-time jobs to get by. He visited me every week, usually with a warm bag of sweet potatoes. Once, when he saw my roommate receive an expensive gift from her wealthy boyfriend, he felt guilty for not giving me better material things. I covered his mouth. Don't say that. I believe in your potential. You'll repay me 100-fold in the future. Soon, with his sharp observation and high IQ, he developed a highly functional social networking app. Jack had too much pride to promote it himself. I couldn't bear to see his hard work go to waste, so I shamelessly promoted it across various campuses. It was a very cold winter. I was full of enthusiasm, using my living expenses to buy small gifts, exhaling white breath while stopping passers-by to download the app. At the end of the road, tiny snowflakes fell as the cool young man looked at me intently. He said, "One day, when I have money, I won't let you down." Those were our sweet times, viewing each other as the only one. But as the company grew, he got busier. Busy enough to miss my birthday, busy enough to not be involved in raising our child. When his mom had cancer, I took care of everything. Jack said he provided for the family, which was true, but I had put in the effort too. How could he treat me like this? After draining all the value of a stay-at-home wife, he ends up belittling me. The sun must have risen from the west, because Jack clumsily prepared breakfast. The eggs were half burnt, and the milk was watery and tasteless. Simon, not understanding why his dad was suddenly being attentive, ate it all up, feeling a bit flattered. Seeing I was unmoved, Jack placed his phone in front of me. On it was a text he had sent. "Sonny, do you have any shame? You know I have a wife and son, yet you still try to seduce me. I was drunk that night and mistook you for my wife. If you harass my wife again, I'll cancel all your company's orders." Sunny's reply was a lengthy, groveling apology. She whined that she didn't intend to ruin my family. If I was still upset, she could kneel and beg for forgiveness. It's hard to imagine the arrogant, rich girl being so humble in front of Jack. Jack whispered in my ear, "I got rid of Sunny. I won't contact her again. Please forgive me this time. You said you didn't want our child to grow up in a single-parent home. As long as you don't mention divorce, we'll always be a family." I froze. My dad died early, and my mom often left me at school while she worked. When mischievous boys bullied me, I always wondered why all the other kids had dads, but I didn't. Was it something I did wrong? I feared that feeling of abandonment, and vowed to give my child a complete family. In this regard, Jack really hit my weak spot. I could guess why Jack didn't want a divorce. He had been dependent on his mom for so many years, experiencing the bitterness of a single-parent family. He didn't want his son to go through the same. Crucially, Jack had long been used to my compliance and stability, our obedient son, and the warm light always waiting for him at home. A gentle and reliable wife gave him both face and substance. Before the marital relationship became completely irreconcilable, he didn't want to entertain the thought of divorce. The sunk costs were too high. Besides, in a man's view, as long as he apologized and the woman forgave, things could move on. But for a woman, every time she recalled her husband's betrayal, she had to muster the courage to forgive anew. It wasn't a one-time deal, as men thought. During that time, Jack suddenly wasn't busy anymore. No endless meetings, no constant networking. He started helping me with breakfast in the mornings, and had time to read picture books and bathe Simon in the evenings. Even Simon said his dad had changed a lot. He wasn't just a presence on the phone anymore. One day, as I was writing my resume online, Jack appeared out of nowhere. "You want to go back to work?" Simon is starting school soon. I can't stay out of touch with the world. I said I'd take care of you forever. I scoffed. Didn't Sunny mock me as a housewife living off her husband? I'll take care of you is the cruelest line in the world. Jack tugged at his tie, feeling a bit annoyed. Isn't it good to be a pampered lady? Many people are envious. Why go out to face the world? I looked at him steadily. Jack, don't forget. I was also a top student from a prestigious university, equal to you in ability. If it weren't for the continuous life incidents, I wouldn't have accepted being a powerless housewife. Before she died, your mom said it was her illness that held me back. But back then, our son was also weak. And I don't regret the temporary division of labor where you provided for the family. But you can't stand on the winning side and completely negate my contributions. When Jack heard I was looking for a job, my university friend Julia texted, Mark's company is hiring, and there's a position perfect for you. My heart skipped a beat. Mark was my senior. Like Jack, he also started his business early. To learn from him, I joined Mark's team. He taught me a lot, registering a company, managing finances, drafting contracts. These skills were almost entirely used in the early days of Jack's business. Later, I sensed Mark had developed feelings for me. Fearing Jack might misunderstand, I left hastily. Seeing I was hesitant, Julia pushed. It's not the time to avoid arousing suspicion for a jerk. She was right. With my uneventful work experience, it would be tough to get into a big company without someone recognizing my worth. Nowadays, Jack's company is substantial, and he has a savvy team of lawyers. If we ever went to court, what would I fight for custody with? When someone loses their economic power, it's like a hedgehog exposing its belly, or a turtle lying on its back. Danger will approach from all sides. Would I really let Simon call Sunny stepmom? Maybe Jack saw this clearly and figured I wouldn't dare cause a scene. Julia, a career woman, looked at me with disappointment. Pitying men will doom you forever, watching you miss many promotion opportunities. I gave a wry smile. When I was young, I believed in love. Never thought the one who sacrificed the most for the family would end up being the scapegoat. I reluctantly went to Mark's company for an interview. Lily, long time no see. He smiled gently, looking as warm and elegant as ever, like the senior who patiently taught me. I relaxed and admitted I had been away from the workforce for years and wasn't familiar with the recent business. I wasn't a quick learner, but I paid attention to details and was responsible. Mark had mentioned before that he appreciated these qualities in me when we used to work together. A new nanny called. Simon woke up from his nap, climbed on the table, and fell. He hit his head hard on the floor and bled a lot. Seeing my hands trembling in panic, Mark offered to drive me. At the hospital, the doctor said there was no concussion. Simon lowered his furry head. Mom, I'm sorry for worrying you. I was both scared and angry. The nanny said you climbed really high. What were you trying to do? I overheard you talking with Aunt Julia, saying we couldn't stay together if you had no money or job. My New Year's money is hidden in the piggy bank in the study. I just want to stay with you forever. My heart ached. The child is still young, but that doesn't mean he doesn't understand the grown-ups world. Especially as Simon is smart and sensitive, he wouldn't be so dull as to miss the changes in our relationship. He said his friend at kindergarten cried every day because his stepmom, like the evil queen, was always scolding him after his parents divorced. Life is not a fairy tale. The more glamorous the appearance, the more ugly truths lie hidden beneath. I hugged Simon tightly. Seeing my worried face, Mark offered, Lily, if you're worried about the kid, bring him to the office before school starts. How could that work? As a new employee, bringing my kid to work would look bad. Mark seemed to understand my concern. I'll let Eric play with him. I froze. I never thought that after all these years, Mark still took care of his intellectually disabled nephew. No wonder Julia sighed. His brother died young, and his sister-in-law abandoned the child and moved abroad. Considering Mark's conditions, if he wasn't burdened with his nephew, many women would want to be with him. The next day, I took Simon to work, and sure enough, I saw Eric. He tilted his head and looked at me, clapping and laughing, rocking horse. Mark laughed. Lily, you were the only one who didn't mind him being slow the first time you met, and you took him to the amusement park. After that, he always smiles when he sees your pictures together on the carousel. I sighed. He used to be chubby. How did he get so thin? He has cancer now, and doesn't have much time left. I'm sorry. My whole body suddenly felt cold. Simon's eyes were wet too. He knew his grandmother died of cancer, and was in the hospital for a long time before passing. Mom, is the big brother going to pick stars? Simon whispered in my ear. I had explained death to him this way before. No matter what, let's try to make the big brother happy, okay? He sweetly agreed and shared his toys with Eric. With Mark's unreserved help, I quickly got familiar with the business. When Eric's condition was stable, Simon stayed at the office and Drew with him. Seeing the two seriously discussing whether stars are blue or silver, I saw pain and reluctance flash in Mark's eyes. Jack scorned my decision to work, thinking I wouldn't last long, and even encouraged me to take a few days off when I just started. He showed Simon pictures of his new yacht. "Dad, does your boat have a name?" Jack glanced at me, his voice a bit weak. "Sunny, because Mom's birthday is in the summer." Before I could process why the name felt familiar, he said, "Sorry, a big client wants to experience sailing. Next time, I'll take you guys." I shrugged, thinking it was better not to find excuses to refuse us. But Simon was disappointed, shedding a few tears before bed and sobbing as he hugged my neck. "Dad is such a liar." I patted his back consolingly. I suddenly remembered how, as a child, I was sad about not having a dad, but it felt better than being repeatedly deceived by a close one. Of course, Jack wasn't meeting a big client. Sunny's hypocrisy was beyond his imagination. She was determined to climb up and kept sending pictures to provoke me. "My Sunny is launched, commemorating its maiden voyage." My heart twisted in pain. Poor Jack. To cover up the origin of the boat's name, he forced himself to remember my summer birthday. Seeing I didn't reply, Sunny escalated. "The more serious someone looks, the more they're twisted inside. Back in school, your husband acted like he didn't care about me. But when I threw myself at him, didn't he pin me against the wall and kiss me for a long time? Do you have as many tricks in bed as I do? I advise you to let go, or you'll lose everything." Sunny's arrogance hadn't diminished over the years. In her eyes, I was still the girl from a single-parent household, not as well off as her. If she hadn't made a move early on, how would she have the right to be Jack's wife? I saved her new bed photos expressionlessly. All this would be evidence in court to fight for Simon. Despite truly loving him, I couldn't be indifferent to Jack's betrayal. Seeing me low, Simon stuffed a candy into my hand. "Mom, eat one when you're sad." "Who taught you that?" "Eric said when it hurts a lot, his dad gives him candy or chocolate." Eric wasn't doing well. Mark spent a lot on his treatment, but the results were minimal. I felt sad. In the face of life and death, everything else seemed trivial. Eric wanted to visit the amusement park one last time. He weakly sat on the carousel. "Dad used to bring me here often." Simon pouted. "My dad never did." "Next time, let Dad bring you." Simon bravely pinky promised with Mark. On the way back, he said, "Mom, I think Dad is great. When sick, he takes Eric to the hospital. When sad, he brings Eric ice cream. But my dad never does. He always stands us up and fights with Mom." Isn't Mark busier than Jack as an entrepreneur? At that moment, I remembered a saying, "Companionship is the longest confession of love." When Jack got home, I calmly presented the divorce papers. "I won't sign." I threw out the photos and recordings Sunny had sent. Jack looked a bit embarrassed and gripped my wrist tightly. "Lily, why didn't you confess you were working at Mark's company?" "So what? He had a crush on you in college. Shouldn't you avoid it? If it wasn't for you going to your old flame's company first, I wouldn't have taken Sunny on the trip." Looking at Jack's hysterical behavior, I found it absurd. "Quit now." "Why? Just because that guy doesn't stop chasing you." Sunny found out that during our company's biggest crisis, he secretly found someone to invest because of you. I was in disbelief. At the time, it was clearly Julia, with all her connections, who helped. I never thought the backer she found was Mark. "Quit your job and stay home, then we can settle this. Afterward, I won't see Sunny anymore." Clearly, he cheated first, got manipulated by his mistress, and then has the nerve to stand on moral high ground to accuse me. I couldn't help but sneer. "I refuse." Jack's face changed, and he knocked the mug off the table, making a harsh noise. "If you insist on divorcing, I won't give you custody." The divorce papers were torn up by Jack. I moved with Simon to somewhere near the company. He's very sensible. He didn't ask why we had to leave. He helped move stuff up and down, and didn't cry even when he fell. I opened some antiseptic, placing his leg on my lap to apply it. Simon held back his tears, enduring the pain. "Are we not going to be with Dad anymore?" I nodded and asked, "Are you going to miss him?" Simon buried his face in my chest, speaking in a muffled voice. "More than seeing Dad, I don't want to see him fight with Mom." Maybe compared to living in a single-parent home, a child who sees their parents at odds suffers more. Also, as a mother, I don't want my child to ever blame me. I didn't divorce because of you. The smart watch rang. Eric invited Simon to his house for some cake. It might be his last birthday. We bought cake and gifts to bring over. The two kids fed each other cake, played with blocks, and had a lot of fun. Eric got cake all over himself. Embarrassed, I went into the bathroom to help Mark. The phone outside rang, and Simon answered it on speaker. Jack's groaning voice came through. "Honey, where's the medicine? My stomach's burning." I remembered the Twitter post Sonny shared about having dinner and smirked. Simon spoke in a sincere, childlike voice. "Dad, Mom and her new dad are busy in the bathroom. You can't disturb them." I hurried over and hung up the phone, my face a bit flushed. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "I'm not talking nonsense. Dad helps Eric bathe, change, and eat, and protects him from bad kids. But my dad never shows up. So I get laughed at by my classmates in kindergarten. He's not Eric's real dad, but he can protect him. I also want a super dad. He's just a child. Just graduated from kindergarten. And he's telling me something he's held in for a long time. But he never said a word to avoid making me sad." Eric came out hugging Mark, and he handed a little rubber duck that swims to Simon. "Friends can share things. From now on, my dad is your dad." Faced with Mark's calm gaze, I grabbed Simon and fled. I never imagined Jack would show up causing trouble. He threw a punch at Mark's face. "How dare you keep eyeing my wife?" Mark glanced at me, slowly rolling up his sleeves, a slight smile curling on his lips. "Lily, sorry." He elegantly but firmly struck back, his punches precise and making Jack wince in pain. Jack never exercises, while Mark regularly takes Eric to the gym. They wrestled. The strength difference was obvious, and it was over quickly. Seeing he was losing, Jack grabbed an expensive inkstone from the desk and swung it hard at Mark. I rushed forward to stop him, but Mark pulled me behind to protect. He got hit on the nose by Jack's elbow, and blood flowed down. 9. I was scared and dragged him to the bathroom. "This is adultery." I turned back, slapping the roaring Jack. He wiped the blood from his mouth, sounding aggrieved. "I'm more hurt than he is. Are you not going to care?" "Yes, I won't." I handed tissues and bandages to Mark. "Sorry for the trouble." "Your issues have never been a trouble for me." Not knowing how to face Mark, I mustered the courage to ask, "Why did you help Jack during his crisis?" "You found out. Back when the company was in trouble, I was pregnant." Jack was overwhelmed, getting tricked by people every day for orders. I couldn't bear it and begged for help with my big belly, even taking a fall. In the end, Julia stepped up. She said a distant relative was willing to cooperate at a fair price. Crisis averted. Jack never shared the details, only came to the hospital holding me as I recuperated. Mark looked deeply at me. "At that time, you took a lot of fertility shots for him. If you hadn't held on, I can't imagine what would have happened." A huge wave of warmth washed over me. So, there really are people in this world who silently care for others. Like Eric, like me. When Sonny confronted me for injuring Jack, she acted like she had finally made it to the top. "You're seeing two people at once." If I hadn't found out about your ambiguous relationship with that senior, Jack would still be in the dark. Other than spreading false rumors, what else can you do? Don't underestimate me. When my family got rich, you and your mom were still living in a dumpy alley. If you're smart, don't hang on to the title of Jack's wife. Or what? She leaned close to my ear. "I know people in the underworld who can ruin you." I grimly looked at her. "It's Jack who refuses the divorce, and he won't agree even if I leave empty-handed. He cares deeply about the child. Unless you get pregnant, don't even think about replacing me." Sonny smirked. "Wait and see." When Jack appeared, he was in disarray, his wounds treated hastily, looking very hurt. "My wounds hurt. My heart hurts more. How can you care for another man and not me? In your absence, the maid messes up my clothes, the soup tastes wrong." Before, Jack only focused on studying as his mom handled all the chores. After marriage, I took over everything. To call him a giant infant is no exaggeration, but humans are strange creatures. Clearly, you need a caring partner, but when you have one, you don't cherish them at all. It's like an old rag. You use it when needed, then just toss it aside. Jack seemed drunk, rambling about why our relationship faded over the years. I was busy making money, sure. But weren't you at fault too? After becoming a mother, most of your energy went to our son. First, we slept in separate rooms. Then everywhere we went, there was a clinging child. Our mundane life dulled my love for you. When facing temptation and excitement, I couldn't help but stray. I was stunned. The child was mine to bear. The nights were mine to stay up. The milk was mine to feed. The diapers were mine to change. And the worries were mine to carry. I sacrificed myself for his freedom. In the end, I got blamed for focusing on the child, causing our relationship to fade. Men remain boys till they die. I angrily shoved Jack out the door, yelling for him to get lost. Marriage should be about having someone who cares, not swallowing grievances alone, wiping tears off my pillow myself. Some people just won't go away. When our son started school, the teacher thanked Jack for donating new multimedia equipment. Everyone immediately knew Simon had a big shot dad. Jack put his hand on my waist. Didn't you always complain I didn't spend time with the kid? Now, let's see who dares mess with him. After Sunny led Jack into the world of material pleasures, he became shallow. I pushed him away. Your show-off attitude is disgusting. What else can I do? You took the kid and left, but the longer you were gone, the more I realized I love you. Hungover, I missed your hangover soup. When my stomach hurt, I wanted you to go to the hospital with me. I couldn't sleep at night thinking about you. I didn't respond, coldly stating, if you know your stomach hurts, then eat less with others. If your mind is messed up, maybe go see a psychiatrist. I find a husband who slept around disgusting. Jack gripped my wrists, pressing them to his chest. What about you? Didn't you move out to meet your old lover? A loud slap landed on his face. Jack, you're dirty. Don't think everyone else is as filthy as you. Time is a wonderful thing. You reap what you sow. I worked hard at Mark's company, not hiding that I'm Jack's wife, gaining many resources in return. Jack cares a lot about his image. Despite keeping Sunny, he never presented her publicly, other than using her past status to confront me. That cowardly mistress didn't dare cross Jack, or expose their affair. Seeing I didn't deny being Mrs. Jack, he thought I'd come back eventually. Wrong. I was just making the most of wasted resources. Not only did I regain my foothold in society, but I also delved into Jack's company for financial details and key client info. I ensured he didn't transfer assets, and calculated how much he spent on Sunny. Simon seemed to appreciate my business. He said his classmates envied having a stylish, capable, and beautiful mom. After working late one day, I saw Sunny, hands on her hips. She waved a pregnancy test in my face. I'm pregnant, with your husband's child. I smiled slightly. So, need me to broadcast that you're a shameless mistress? I've always said you're a loser, then and now. Then why are you here? If Jack loves you so much, why not marry you? She bit her lip. I don't know what you did to him, but he asked me to bear the child for you, then leave. My worldview shattered. Maybe Jack wasn't truly in love with Sunny, just driven by conquest. Just as Jack admitted, subduing those who bullied him gave him a sense of revenge. In the end, he loves no one but himself. I met Jack at a restaurant. It was a place we used to visit annually, with dishes I loved. In our toughest times, we huddled in a basement eating instant noodles, not tasting meat for half a month. Jack promised that when he had money, he'd take me to fine dining daily. I laughed at his grand dreams, saying it was wasteful. He pinched my nose. Dreams need to be big to come true. Now we had everything, yet we drifted apart. He wore the shirt I bought him, looking lean and upright, somewhat reminiscent of the studious boy he once was. Jack ordered a dish. I focused on my steak. Wanna try mine? It's spicy. I shook my head. I still prefer mild flavors. But you've changed, becoming as spicy-loving as Sunny. Jack's chopsticks fell. His hand went to his stomach, and cold sweat beaded his forehead. I no longer cared if he was uncomfortable. Leaving, why form new bonds? He grabbed my hand. Lily, I'll give up spice for you. I can change for you. Some things, once changed, can't go back. Sunny is pregnant. You need to give her an answer. I may not like her, but the child is innocent. Jack's hand dropped weakly. I spoke calmly, recalling the 500 progesterone shots I had. Back then, you were busy with the business, unaware of my daily fear of losing our baby. Your mom saw my bruised belly and repeatedly asked you to come home, but I refused, telling her to only share good news to keep you from worrying. So, can I have custody? After that, the doctor said I'd hardly have another child. Jack finally agreed to the divorce. Sunny was ecstatic, using my years of unemployment to push for me to leave with nothing. I quietly sent Jack a box of his late mother's favorite snacks. Jack was startled. He had been very filial, relying on his mom growing up. But during her critical illness, the company was facing opportunities and challenges. As the leader, he couldn't leave, missing his last chance to see her. Later, relatives told him her dying wish was to never wrong me, her favorite daughter-in-law. Unfortunately, in this world full of temptations, a moment of weakness leads to downfall. The house went to our son and me. Additionally, I received $1 million savings. Considering Jack's current worth, it was a mere pittance. Sunny wouldn't give up. She nagged Jack about buying a house, demanding it be in her name before she'd stop. But her joy didn't last. After she eagerly announced her relationship with Jack, a lot of dirt about her started spreading around. People said she slept with a 70-year-old man for a deal and framed her rivals to take them down. Even stories from her school days, like bullying a kid at the zoo and causing deafness, came out. Sunny was furious. She had spent a lot of money to bury these secrets, only to have them surface suddenly. She pushed Jack to sue me for slander. The next time I saw him, he looked deflated. I guess he suffered too. The mockery, lost deals. Lily, you're a mom too. Can't you let it go since we're both pregnant? I chuckled through tears. When I was pregnant, my husband wasn't even home. Son is lucky. She gets immediate support when bullied. Jack stood there, eyes full of regret. I'm sorry. I was busy back then. I handed him a file. Don't apologize just yet. If you're not mad after reading it, we're even. He looked at his medical report, shocked. Are you saying I'm infertile? Was this all a setup to take my son away? I shrugged. I didn't force you to sleep with another woman. He turned cold quickly. Jack demanded to know whose baby Sonny was carrying. She insisted it was his and accused me of faking the report. Both went to a major hospital, confirming I was right and fumbling across some STDs. Jack cut off all financial support to Sonny. Desperate, she confessed the baby was from a gang brother, who promised to kill me and Simon for Jack's fortune when the child grew up. Jack lost it, his pride shattered, and beat Sonny terribly. She lost the baby and her ability to have children. Everyone she had wronged took their chance at revenge. Sonny became unemployable, less than a street rat. The gang brother, displeased, hit Jack with a motorcycle, leaving him crippled. In the end, one ended up hospitalized, the other imprisoned. When I visited the hospital, Jack looked miserable. You finally agreed to see me. So you still have feelings. He was mostly dead inside and infertile now. He offered extra money for helping in his business, hoping our son might take over. I wasted no words. Mark had taken much of his business already. Mark, however, insisted I take shares. Why would I need Jack's money, especially if it cost my time and son's future? I handed Jack papers to reclaim what he'd spent on Sonny. She should end up penniless and in debt. Jack looked up. You must hate me too, not just her, right? My cold expression said it all. He wrecked my belief in marriage and shattered my dreams of a happy family. Shouldn't that come at a price? As I left, Jack seemed desperate. Mark and I grew closer, chatting more. Simon adored him. A business powerhouse at work, Mark cooked and cared at home. Sometimes, it's about responsibility, not time. Mark once confessed he liked me in college for my kindness, but stayed quiet since I was with someone else then. Now, he asked for a chance. I hesitated. My bad marriage hurt deeply. We weren't equally matched. Married me, single him. When Eric passed, Mark secluded himself. Simon and I worried. After school, Simon eagerly showed him his starry night drawing. At the gate, a careless driver nearly hit Simon. The burly driver berated him, but Mark showed up first. Mark demanded an apology, threatening legal action. Simon clung to him, feeling safe. Human connections vary. In the car, Simon proudly brandished his drawing, explaining Eric had returned to his blue planet. In life, cherish what you have, blink, and time's gone. Simon noticed Mark and me staring at each other. Mom, why are you blushing? He teased. Neon lights sparkled on the car's windows. Two warm hands held together beneath Simon's starry artwork. Epilogue. 5 months pregnant, I spotted Jack at the hospital. He was there for severe stomach problems. Without my care, his life was a mess. Seeing my belly, his face twisted in pain. Lily, you said you couldn't have children. Not with you, no lie there. He fumed, but what could a beaten man do? To see his son, he needed my mood on his side. Jack sighed. Life is like chess. One wrong move leads to another. Yes, I agreed. Some lines you don't cross. Betrayal gets punished. I didn't linger. Mark came to help me into the car. Since getting pregnant, Mark handed his travel jobs to the VP, treating me like royalty. On our way home, he reminded me, doctor said no more sugar. Let's take evening walks. I made your favorite ribs and Simon's lobster. I nestled into the luxurious cushion he prepared, feeling surrounded by happiness. Watching Mark drive gently, afraid to jolt me, I thought, girls want to marry love young, money growing up, but maturity teaches you to marry character, responsibility. Lucky for me, I found the brightest star in the universe.